Hi, I am Angelica Diaz Tipona, and today I will provide a book review of one of the books that I have read, which is entitled Tuesdays with Morrie. So, this book was released in the year 1997, and this was written by the same author of the international bestseller book, which is entitled Five People You Meet in Heaven. And this book was written by the one and only Mitch Albom. So this book is nonfiction, and the writer's style of writing is very observable, whereas his detail specific, he uses dramatization, or that he uses senses to describe scenarios. And as a reader, you can actually tell that he's been there in the situation he's trying to describe and tell from the way the scenario looks, smell, and feels. So Mitch Albom is a great author, specifically that this book was written based on first-hand experience, because this in this story he's the young man, as you can see, an old man, a young man, and life's greatest lesson. So Mitch Albom was the young man on this story, not actually young because he's already in his 30s when he wrote this book, and he discussed what happened when he was still in college, where he met his professor, what happened in his life after he graduated, and a highlight of the story, what happened on the 14 Tuesdays with Morrie. And one thing that I observed was that there's 1 to 2 pages where Mitch put his sentiments about every Tuesdays he met his professor. It is true that this book is about life, death, and everything in between. So this book is actually a biography and memoir of Morrie Schwartz, who happened to be Mitch Albom's professor. Just a little background. So Morrie was a brilliant, wise professor in Brandeis University, and he loves Mitch, or should I say that Mitch is his favorite student. Actually, after their graduation, Morrie told Mitch Albom's parents that Mitch is a special boy, and he told Mitch this exact words. He said that, Mitch, you are one of the good ones. And then he gave him a hug, and Mitch was asked if he will stay in touch with his professor, and so he said yes. And that's how they ended their meet after the graduation, and then they got separated because Mitch became a columnist, radio host, and so on, and he was away from Morrie. Whereas if measured by hours, it will probably take 4 hours of riding the plane. So Morrie was very active before. He's a dancer of any music. Nothing else can say about his vibe, but while he was dancing, an expert in sociology has observed something about Morrie. The sociologist said that there is something wrong about Morrie, and then Morrie started to consult doctors, and as a result, he was diagnosed of a disease called amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or also called as ALS. And ALS is a neurological disease that slowly stops your body from functioning, and there's no cure for that according to what I have read. So knowing that he's sick and he has less than a year of living, but Morrie said it is less than 5 months. Morrie, who's very fond of talking about life and death, has decided whether to wither up and disappear or make the best out of life. Not just breathing but living in the greatest way possible was what he chose. So he allowed everyone to study him. He told his students to watch his disease's progress, allowed himself to be part of TV show, and still lectures his students. So one day, Mitch dialed Morrie's number, and there, Morrie knew that Mitch would visit him, and so they agreed to meet on Tuesday. Every Tuesday of the week, these two, Morrie and Mitch, talk about something significant. They talk about the world, which basically concerns about receiving and giving out of love. They talk about feeling sorry for themselves, regrets, not themselves, but what Morrie had observed on his late friend, who probably regret being sad of most of his life. So they also talk about death and why shouldn't we be afraid of it. Family, emotions, fear of aging, money, how love goes on, even if you dies, marriage and how it's like and how it feels in real life. They also talk about culture. They talk about forgiveness, not for others, but forgiving themselves for what they have done on their lives and who they might betray. They talked about the perfect day, not the perfect day that we could imagine, but the perfect day for them is that For Morrie, it's Al's that will get its treatment, or his disease will get its treatment one day. And Mitch's perfect day, or definition of perfect day, is that Mitch meeting his brother in the future, and that's the perfect day for both of them. And Morrie brought it up. And lastly, on the 14th Tuesday, they said goodbye. On that Tuesday, Morrie was very weak, and he asked Mitch to come through. His helper, named Charlotte, telling Mitch that Morrie needs to see him. Morrie told Mitch this exact word: "My dear friend, I'm not so good today. You are a good soul." And then he told Mitch that he touched here. And then Morrie placed Mitch's hand to his heart, and Morrie said, "This is how we say goodbye. Love you." Leaving Mitch rubbing his loose skin, and his gray, almost white hair told Morrie that he will be back again next Tuesday, because they're always seeing each other on Tuesday. And Morrie agreed, but that was their last Tuesday together, because Morrie died on Saturday that week. Actually, I have a lot of key takeaways, or that I have learned several things from this book. First, the essence of enjoying life and being happy as possible, because those people who live their life worrying and regretting are sadder than those who are dying. Morrie talked about the regrets of most of the people who died, and one of those is worrying about their lives, but Morrie was not one of those. Second, a teacher's power to influence is unending, and it reaches no bound. As mentioned in the book, a teacher affects eternity. He can never tell where his influence stops, and that's according to Henry Adams. And that brings me to an insight that the profession I am pursuing is likely to become a way to influence others' lives. Third, age isn't a way to look back on the things that you've done, but a signifier to live in the moment and to look on what's beautiful and true, just like how Morrie handled his life by being dependent on the people around him. He's not shy that he's being dependent, teaching them about his life. And fourth, it's okay to cry no matter what gender you belong to, because even Morrie, who knows how to appreciate everything, still mourns about his surrounding. It's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign that you're alive. And lastly, do things that come from the heart, because based on Morrie, when you do this, you won't be dissatisfied, you won't be envious, you won't be longing for somebody else's things, and on the contrary, you'll be overwhelmed with what comes back. So this book, that ends my key takeaway. So this book was sold for more than 40 million copies, and actually I'm not surprised by it, because it's worth reading, and it's actually worth the price. I have read several criticisms about this book. Many said that it's a very nice book, and the moral they gained might last for a lifetime, which I really agree with. But also, I read one comment that says she's looking for more revelations in the story, and so she rated it 3 out of 5. But it's definitely okay. But all in all, there was positive feedback regarding this book, knowing that it is a non-fiction. I love the story so much, and how the authors use simple and complex words that I was able to use a dictionary. So actually, vocabularies were gained. I am now interested to be engaged in books like this. And I can say that I really love this. I'll let my friends borrow this book from me, especially that we are about to graduate college, where life realizations hit us beyond our expectations. And that ends my book review, and I hope you'll be able to find yourself reading Tuesdays with Morrie anytime in your life. Have a great day.